Is the Harley Davidson market for touring motorcycles collapsing? Guys, my name is Rick and this is the HDVIBE channel. Today's video, we're going to explore what is happening to prices in the new and used Harley Davidson touring market. And we'll get into it right after this. Is the Harley Davidson touring motorcycle market beginning to collapse? Before we get into the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up if you get value out of this. Share it with your friends. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think of the Harley Davidson market currently, and also hit that subscribe button right down here. That really helps out the channel. And also leave a comment down below when you are a first-time subscriber so I can personally reach out and thank you for supporting the channel. First of all, I think we need to talk about what is the normal market. Normally, you buy a Harley Davidson motorcycle, whether it be a touring bike or any other bikes in the motorcycle lineup. You pay the dealer somewhere around MSRP, and immediately that bike goes down in value by maybe 20-25% at the time you drive that bike off the lot. So let's go back to 2016 when I bought my first Harley Davidson Street Glide Special. So the MSRP on that bike was $23,599. In September of 2016, I purchased that bike as a pre-owned bike from a Harley Davidson dealership. I paid $17,800 for that bike with a couple of thousand miles on it. Under 3,000 miles for sure. So that bike, when I purchased it, went out the door at 25% below the MSRP when that bike was new in 2015. All the way up to 2020, the market was really kind of normal. So I'll give you another example. In February of 2020, I bought a 2019 Road King Special. It had 5 miles or 6 miles on it. It was pre-owned. It actually had been owned by someone previously entitled, so technically it was pre-owned. The MSRP on that 2019 Road King Special when it was new from the dealership was $25,289. At that time, in 2019 when that bike was new, $25,289, somewhere around there. Probably went out the door maybe $26,000, $27,000. I bought it at a dealership down in Houston. I paid $18,200 for that bike. If we again go from MSRP to what I paid retail for that bike, that is approximately a 25% decline in that value. I purchased that bike on February 15th or 16th, maybe 20th of 2020. About 30 days later, the world changed. In March of 2020, we went into pandemic mode. And what did that do to the Harley Davidson market? Well, first of all, things were shut down. The world shut down for months and months and months, which means Harley Davidson couldn't produce bikes. So as soon as things got a little bit back to normal, do you remember what Harley Davidson dealerships were doing? They were buying up every pre-owned motorcycle that they could get their hands on, and they were paying premiums for them because they weren't getting new bikes, and they had to sell something to keep the lights and the doors open on those dealerships. So what did that do? That drove prices of those pre-owned bikes to levels that in some cases exceeded what the original MSRP were on those bikes, and they could be 2-3 years old. The market got completely turned upside down and was really out of alignment. It goes back to economics, supply and demand. Supply of new motorcycles dropped tremendously because of the pandemic, and the used motorcycle market, as did the automobile market, prices began to rise to just crazy, crazy levels. Even into 2022, things were still a little bit topsy-turvy and a little bit out of alignment. And I will tell you how I know that. I actually traded in the 2019 Road King Special and my 2015 Street Glide Special, and the value that I got for those bikes after having ridden the Street Glide Special for, I don't know, 3-4 years, I got almost as much value on a trade for those bikes as when I purchased them a number of years before that. It was the most crazy thing. I couldn't even fathom it. So that's how bad the market was out of alignment at that time. So here's what we're seeing in today's market. And I will give you an example. The 2024 CVO Road Glide ST When it was first introduced, that bike was going out the door before taxes and licensing, just MSRP plus whatever the dealers were marking up. In some cases, I saw them advertised for as much as $50,000 when those bikes were first introduced. And the MSRP on that, I believe, is $42,999, so about $43,000, so a $7,000 markup. Now, how has things changed? Here we are, we're in October of 2024. Here's what's happening. Harley Davidson sales are down. Shipments to dealerships are down, but they are flooding those dealers with bikes. In the past, there were no incentives. There were no special interest rates, so to speak. The interest rates in the past were relatively low, but here's what you're seeing today. Any existing 2023 models, 2024 models, Harley Davidson and the dealers are offering incentives. And those incentives comes in a variety of forms. So you see 0% APR, 0 down. Again, highly qualified borrowers, or you see 3.99, 1.99, 2.99. When, if you go to your credit union, you'll see 7%, 8% rates for highly qualified. Well, why is that? The prime rate right now is about 5%. That's the prime lending rate. And typically lenders will mark that up depending on your credit worthiness. So a great credit risk, someone who has very great credit, no risk to that lender, will typically mark that prime rate up by 2.5 to 3 points. So that's how you get to your 7 to 8%, maybe at your credit union or your bank, for financing a motorcycle over 60 months, 72 months. But how can Harley Davidson dealerships offer you a 0% interest rate, or a 3.99%, or a 2.9, or a 1.9 interest rate? How are they doing it? Well, Harley Davidson on the back end is having to give those dealers incentives, or those dealers are buy that rate down to that low rate off of what would be the normal rate for a highly qualified borrower. So what is the world we're living in? Used motorcycle prices are coming back down to normal. Some may say they're actually collapsing. I will tell you, even at the dealership level, I see, for example, a 2023 Road Glide, a standard Road Glide, that probably went out the door over $30,000. I've seen them advertised as low as $19,999. Now that may still be a little bit high. You know, Facebook Marketplace, people are trying to sell their own bikes. I'm going to tell you guys, if you're marking your 2023 Road Glide standard at $20,000 or higher on Facebook Marketplace or on any of the online selling apps, you're never going to get it, because those bikes are just not worth that. Again, the market is coming down in terms of pricing. So now let's talk about 2024s and what's happening coming down the line in 2025. As I said, Harley Davidson sales are down. They're shipping more and more bikes to these dealerships. The dealers are sitting on these bikes. They're floor plan financing, so the longer those bikes sit there, the more interest costs that those dealers are piling up. And as you know, with higher interest rates, things are more expensive. Groceries, gasoline, housing, all of these things have exploded. And the economy is, well, it's really expensive to live now. It's just crazy. Your prices are up 25, 30%. So people are not buying motorcycles like they did in the past. So what are we seeing? Incentives even on 2024s. So in the used market on a 2024, this is probably an outlier, but I saw a 2024 Street Glide in the blue, blacked out with just a few hundred miles on it, at a Harley Davidson dealership that was pre-owned for $19,999. Now that bike did not last long. I was going to fly down there and buy that because the price was just crazy. I have also heard on 2024 CVO STs, some dealerships just got loaded with them from Harley Davidson. In the past, they were a little scarce. Today, I've heard a verified out-the-door price before tax, title, and license on a 2024 brand new CVO ST, $38,500. Those bikes 6 months earlier were going out the door at close to $50,000. So is the market crashing? I don't know that it's crashing, but it's certainly coming back down to a reality base. If you think about the 2024 Grand Touring line that Harley Davidson put out, the Street Glide, Road Glide, they actually dropped the prices relative to the prior year models. No surcharges, lower prices. So what did that do to the used market? It has to drive it down. And if you're thinking, if you have one of those bikes, a pre-owned bike that's in great shape, that has all these upgrades and everything, that you're going to get more than what somebody would pay for a new Harley Davidson, I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you, you're not going to get it no matter what you've done to that bike. It's the old style. The market, Harley Davidson again has driven the price of the market down, both in the used market as well as on those news. And I think as we go into 2025, you're going to see continued incentives because things are going to continue to slow down for Harley Davidson, and they have to keep those dealers in business. Dealers are closing down. I've seen longtime dealers, they just said, we can't do it. We can't compete. We can't make enough money, and they're closing down. So there's going to be fewer dealers. I think incentives are going to continue. Harley Davidson is going to try to drive sales. They're going to incentivize the dealers to do it. It's kind of like the car business where you can get cheaper financing or you can get a rebate. Well, in the motorcycle business, specifically at Harley Davidson, they're not as transparent. So there's back-end money that's getting applied to those bikes to buy those rates down. So if you want to buy a new bike, here's my suggestion. Go to your credit union, get approved, and then go to that Harley Davidson dealership and negotiate the best price possible and tell them you're going to be paying cash. You're not going to finance, and I will bet you will get a better price for that bike than if you were said, I'm going to finance that through Harley Davidson, and you get that special 3.99, 1.99, 0% interest rate. You may be paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more for that bike than if you went in there and said, I'm paying cash. I want the best price possible. So guys, is the market crashing? I don't know that it's crashing. I think it's coming back down to reality a little bit. So if you want to learn more about what I know about the 2025 models, go check out this video. If you want to see how a brand new Harley Davidson could cost you upwards of $70,000, go check out this video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.